Hi, Oneunity family. We're back again on the Africaunity platform. My name is KingIdris and I'm here to give you guys the new insight on what is going on the home ground in Africa and international community. Today, my people will be going to France, we're going to Europe. We'll be talking about the French far-right MP that gets suspended from the French parliament for shouting, for an outburst of screaming and shouting, "Go back to Africa," to a French black MP in the French parliament. So this happened on November 7, 2022, whereby the French parliament was going on a section when a far-right MP from the French parliament screamed and shouted to a black African Frenchman in French left parliament, in shouting at him to go back to Africa. So my people, the French parliament, they took it serious, whereby this man had been suspended from the parliament for just 15 days. This is a racist and an insult to the French parliament, because this kind of racist is not an attitude to be tolerated in the French parliament, because the French people have enormous history on the shore of Africa, starting down from the 17th century and down to 1830 when they took over Algiers, Morocco, and the other side of the northern Africa through trade. My people, an enormous history in slave trade and all that comes with it during the scramble of Africa. So the French people have this peaceful and unity going on in their midst through diplomacy between the black French people. They even adopted some people into the French parliament for well-known recognition, because the enormous population of the black French people is coming up every day by day. And the French President Macron, really recognize and appreciate the enormous effort of the black French people, because now they're black Africans, French people living in France. So my people, this kind of insult and embarrassment to the black Africans is not to be accepted, because why would this man have to shout, "Go back to Africa," in a parliament meeting? So where I'm coming from on this platform today is to talk about what really happened to this man after shouting this insult and abusive word towards this black left MP in the French parliament. They suspend this man for 15 days, and after that, this just it's a weak slap to the wrist. Like, the time they give the same suspension they give to this man was when a man in 2011, a communist MP, have a dispute with the other MPs by telling them not to park cars in front of the national parliament, national assembly in France. This when this issue came up, when they have this dispute. It's just a domestic case. That's where they give this kind of. It's just like, but the French far-right MP has been guilty and has been given a slap on the wrist, because it's been given 15 days of suspension. He will be back in the parliament between 15 days. And to so many other people, they feel this is just a this is just a small slap to the wrist. It's not a hard, harsh punishment that's supposed to go with this, because this is a racist comment in front of everybody. In the video, you will see a lot of people shouting back, "Oh, send him out, send him out, send him out," because they know this is an embarrassment to the French parliament. They know this is an insult. This is a huge insult to the French parliament. So this man has been given suspension for 15 days, but a lot of people feel this suspension is not hard enough, because in other cases, they used to cut their salaries. They cut their salaries, they suspended for like 30 days. Harsh, repercussion should be given to this man. But for a lot of French people, black French people, or black Africans, French people, they feel this is just a slap to the wrist. It's not a harsh punishment. It's not the hard sanction. You can get the parliament really don't want this issue to transit to a case whereby it will be the discussion of the day in the country in France. So a lot of the parliament leaders have already sit down, talk about this, because this case pertaining to Carlos Martins Bilongo, the black Frenchman in the parliament, the left-wing parliament. So they know it's going to transit to a serious issue, and there have been a lot of enormous cases going on in Europe itself that the French parliament have a lot of discussion about, like the war going on in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia, or the inflation in the country in France itself, and a lot of enormous issue coming up, like, they have their own problem too. So Lisa Marine, like the leader of the House of Assembly in the French Parliament, have already stated that she doesn't want this issue to be a big issue. That is not about politics. It's not about politics. That is not even a racist attack. So the leader of the House, was even trying to secure this MP, this French far-right MP, stating that he was just talking about the boat, because in France and in Europe now, there's enormous arrival of ship in the coast of Sicily in Italy, whereby a lot of migrants was not allowed to enter Italy, and is becoming a rampant cases around Europe now. So I think Europeans themselves, and the European leaders knows they have enormous problem at their hand, that this kind of issue about racism, about politics, the abusive to the black communities in France should stop, because the leaders of the House and other people involved in this, they don't even want to escalate this issue. But on Africaunity platform with KingIdris, I'm out here to give you guys the prolific insight of what is going on around the world. I'm not insulting nobody, I'm just giving it straight to you people. The abuse on the black community in the world should stop. We part of the future. We even the future. We the beginning of the human race. We don't need this kind of insult. The French people brought up this system whereby the black communities in France, they add their own enormous contribution to the French economy. Ever since the early days, the black Africans in France have beautiful contributions to the French economy. A lot of enormous history between the Senegalese, ancient World War II history. A lot of military soldiers died, sacrificing their lives for the French people. A lot of enormous soldiers from Mali, from today Senegal, from today Guinea. A lot of enormous Guinea-Conakry, a lot of enormous soldiers sacrificed their life for the French people, for France to be what it is today. Without Africa, France will never become what they are today. Enormous resources being taken out of Africa to develop Europe, and France is one of the countries in Europe that really benefited from these resources being taken out of Africa, and from the slave trade, from the transatlantic slave trade to the Benin. When the African states are being, France is really part of the country out of Europe that really benefited from the resources out of Africa, and the African people really contributed to a lot of enormous hard work in France to build up France to what it is today. Because if you're talking about the history in the world, a lot of people know that France themselves contributed and controlled 16 countries in Africa as we're talking now. That the president of the day in this French colonized country have to go to France, to submit their budget, to borrow money for aid, for support in their foreign policy, in diplomacy means in the world. And France is part of the powerhouse, is part of the G5, part of the G7. So these African countries have no say. So are we still the people that we contributing to your economy? We doing everything proper to become a better side, and because people have this enormous kind of stigma against these African people, and we're building ourselves up, doing the best we can to have a better human race in diplomacy means, then we are still the one that have already passed through a lot in the universe. A lot of people know about this. Are we still the one to be because if they tell this man to go back to Africa, where did he want to tell you guys to go to? Or where do you want this man to go to? Most of these people have been raised, they're born in France. Their parents really contributed to a lot of growth in French economy. So my people, it's not a good look for the French people. It's not a good look for the French parliament. This kind of behavior should stop, because it's not a good look. We're trying to create a better economy, a better continent, a better human race in diplomacy means, for a better future for African youth, for all the youth in the world, through a beautiful human existence race. We're trying to create a better human race for a better future. So my people, this is not a good look for France people. It's not a good look for the parliament. And you know, on Africanity platform, it's all about unity. It's unity over division. So this MP, this far right MP, should be dealt with in a serious way. It should be suspended for a whole year or something, because this is not a good look on the French people. And Emmanuel Macron, the French president, have already come out to talk about this issue, and he said this is a shock to him himself as the president of France, that he's surprised of what he really had and what he saw on the videotape. So my people, I'm just here to give you guys the insight of what is going on the home ground in Africa and international community. We should do better in the world to make this world a better place for the whole human race. We human beings, before we became whatsoever we became in the world today, we should show love, happiness. That's why I'm preaching unity, love, and prosperity on Africaunity platform. So my people, I'll be coming to an end of the segment today. We'll be coming back with other beautiful content. I'll be saying one Africa, one people, one unity. We should do better in the world. The French parliament should do better. One love. Thank you.